Yep. Good. All right. Do we want to get started with roll call and then we'll pledge of allegiance? All right, we'll start if everybody could rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll get started with roll call. If
Do that, Mr. Nick Valley. Present. As well.
here,
Mr. Burgess.
here,
Bill. Mr. Sheridan.
here,
Your zoning solicitor, Mr. Auslander, and your co-director, zoning officer is here, present as well.
Mr. Chairman, the first matter of business this evening is reorganization of the Newtown Township Zoning Hearing Board and the election of officers. I would ask that the motion be entertained for reorganization. Thereafter, a motion for nominations for president, vice president of the Zoning Hearing Board.
do we need a vote on that? Just
Let's take a vote on the move to reorganization.
So moved.
second? Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
Motion carries. And I'll open the floor for nominations for the chairman of the zoning hearing board.
I'll make a motion to nominate Kevin Baskell for chair.
Second.
Any other nominations? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please. For chairman Kevin Basquil.
What do you, sorry.
Roll call vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Altabelli.
Yes.
Mr. Baswell.
Yes.
Mr. Burgess.
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan.
Yes.
Motion is carried. Chairman is Kevin Basquil for the 2024 year. And now entertain motions for vice chairman of the zoning hearing board. Do I hear nominations?
I nominate Mike Sheridan as vice chair.
We have a second.
Second.
Any other nominations? Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Mr. Altabelli.
Yes.
Mr. Baswell.
Yes.
Burgess.
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan.
Yes.
And motion is carried. Congratulations, gentlemen.
All right, so our
Move to the agenda.
yeah. Our first application here is Z 2021-33, Mark and Helen McGinley of 0 Hickory Lane. Pertaining to the stipulation and settlement agreement, granting a dismissal or dimensional variances pursuant to the Newtown Township Code 172-34B pertaining to side yard setbacks. Property is in an existing non-conforming lot in an R3 residential district. The applicant seeks to construct a single-family residential dwelling. Stipulation and settlement agreement upon approval by the Honorable Judge E. Angelos of the Court of Common Pleas of Delaware County, Pennsylvania, will resolve the pending land use appeal. So there is some additional information. I'll turn it back over to you, Sam, to.
Yes, thank you. I would ask if there are any protestants that are present with regard to this particular matter. If you just identify yourselves for the record. Mr. Manson. And anyone else? I'm sorry, ma'am, you're gonna have to come up so the court reporter can. Okay, and each of, I'm sorry, ma'am, the court reporter did not hear you.
Sharon Haslett, 32 Hickory Lane.
Thank you.
32 Hickory.
Anyone else for public comment? Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this is a matter that was before this board back in 2021. It ultimately resulted in a decision by this board that was appealed to Court of Common Pleas in Delaware County. The subject property is located at the corner of Hickory Lane and Tennis Avenue, which is Tennis Avenue being a unopened paper street in the township. The particular lot is a pre-existing non-conforming lot, 40 feet wide, 125 feet in length, total square footage of 5,000 square feet, and building area of 6,000 square feet. In this particular instance, the applicant was seeking to construct a single-family dwelling, but at the time of the proposal and the application, they were unsure or unable to describe the nature of the type of structure that was being built. As a result of the lack of information with regard to the structure, this zoning board determined that they were unable to meet their burden of proof that it would have any the impact on the community, whether it be adverse or not. Therefore, the decision was to reject the application, resulting in the appeal to Delaware County. Since that time, the applicant has presented a application with regard to the plan for the particular property, single-family residence that is to be built. At this point in time, because of the non-conforming nature of the lot, the only remaining issue would be a request for a side yard variance. This matter has been negotiated by the applicant through his attorney, zoning hearing board for myself, and through the township solicitor on behalf of the township. The stipulation will be submitted upon approval of all three parties to Judge Angelos, who is presiding over the appeal. At this point in time, the side yard variance is the issue before the board for consideration. The proposal for this evening is suggested that on the property adjacent to 106 Hickory, that the side yard be 11 feet. And on this northwesterly side, I believe, on the Tennis Avenue paper street side, that side yard dimension be 5 feet for a total aggregate of 16 feet. I believe the parties, the applicant has accepted that dimensional agreement. It would be before the board to agree with regard to the nonconformity of the lot and the resolution of the appeal at common pleas level. If there are any questions that the board has, I believe the applicant and his attorney are here. And if the board would like to hear from any of the protestants, they were protestants at the hearing level before the board. However, none of the protestants had intervened at the common pleas level. But I know Mr. Mancy was here last month, and he suggested that he and his neighbors were approved of the proposal at that point in time. So if any of the protestants and neighbors would like to come forth and present their position to the zoning board, this would be a good time to do so.
Just when you step up to the podium, just make sure the microphone's turned on. It'll be a green light. It's red, just press the button.
Push the button.
Yep, just press the button.
Got a green light, okay.
There you go.
Um,
State
You know
your
what?
name.
I don't know, do we have to swear anyone in for this?
Yes,
I do. William Mancy, Mansi, 111 Hickory. I'd just like to ask the question, I guess. This agreement is between Mark and Helen McGinley, but there's a new owner of the property at this time.
my understanding that the McGinleys have sold, are under agreement of sale with these, new people that are, subject of the, agreement. They are either in ownership or under an agreement of sale.
So will the agreement made at the appeals transfer to the
Yes,
new
they
owner?
will be bound by the terms of this agreement, yes.
All right. A second question is, the item that was submitted as item B, I believe it was,
Well,
the proposed house.
this is, it's A, by the way.
It's A. Okay, is that the house that's supposed to be built on this property?
This is the approximate, view of the home, and yes, it's made part of the stipulation.
Well, with those clarifications, I would like to urge the board to approve this. I don't know if my other neighbors would like to speak, but from where I stand, I saw the agreement, I saw the stipulations in the agreement. And rather than let this go on to a further appeal court, I guess that is.
Yes.
We would prefer, I would prefer that we accept this, agreement.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mancy.
Anyone else want to come forward? Okay, you want to go on the record?
Yes. Yeah. Greg Durbano, 106 Hickory Lane. And as long as, like Bill just said, everything on that agreement comes through the way they said it's going to be with everything there, I'm all in agreement.
You understand that there would be
11
yes,
feet off my property.
11 off of yours
Yep.
and 5 off the other.
And there was something saying that they're going to put shrubbery down that.
I believe there was. And the applicant is here with his counsel, and I believe that he can concur with that, but there is an escrow for $5,000 for any,
For the street.
for the street.
Right, right.
And I believe that there is a buffering provision, vegetative buffering to the extent practical adjacent to 106.
And that exhibit is the one they're going to build? Is that what was said?
It's my understanding that this is a picture of the model that is being built.
Okay, as long as that's it, I agree with all that stuff.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anyone else? John, do you want to speak to the issue about the exhibit?
Thank you, Mr. Auslander. Members of the board, my name is John McBlain. I'm the attorney for the applicant in this. Some of the members of the board were present for the original hearing, I guess, 2 years ago now. We did this, but yeah, as you will recall, really the only issue that was raised at the time of the hearing of any substance in regards to an objection was, what the house would look like. And we did have a couple of different, just sort of off the internet models. I mean, usually isn't architecturally designed at the point where you go before the zoning hearing board, but that's what we heard from the neighbors. What you heard from the neighbors was that that some of the other houses that had been built in this neighborhood on these lots were very tall, looked like townhouses that were sort of placed by themselves there. And I guess they wanted to make sure that that wasn't going to be the case here. There is no specific requirement in the Newtown Township Code for the style of a house in this zoning district or anywhere else, but Nonetheless, the application was denied. We appealed it. And to address specifically, what the issues were that the neighbors had, Mr. McGinley, who is here, and Mr. Barkon, who is now the owner of the property, who's also present, did come up with a specific design for the property that was sort of lower and wider to make sure that, those objections regarding a townhouse looking single-family home, would not be an issue. So that is the model that was chosen. We submitted it to the township. We understand that township was in agreement with it, and we're submitting it to you, and hopefully you indicate that it's a nice looking home. But we certainly think that it addresses the issue of any fear that whatever is going to be built would not be in conformity with the neighborhood. This neighborhood has several different styles of houses. There's colonials, there's ranches, there's all kinds of different things over there. But if the objection is that we don't want a tall, skinny property or tall, skinny building, we believe we have addressed that. So we would ask for your approval of the proposed stipulation. Barkon, B-A-R-K-O-N. Connor Barkon. Barkon's present.
Unless there are any other questions or public comment with regard to anyone in the audience, I would ask that that a motion be made to approve.
I make a motion to approve application Z 2021-33 with the 11-foot setback on the southwest side and a 5-foot setback on the northeast side. There a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next up is Z 2022-10 for Cellco partnership. This is a continuance again.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, my understanding that this is being requested as a continuance by the applicant, I believe, to the March list.
26,
Yes.
March 2026. I mean, this has been on every agenda.
Yeah, it's been a marathon continuance, but I understand they're in discussions with regard to alternate sites.
Okay. We have to
So-
make a motion to
Yeah.
approve it for I make a motion to move the Z 2022-10 application to the March zoning meeting. Is there a second?
21st,
March 21st?
March
Is that-
20.
March 21st of 2024. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. So that's moved to March 21st. Next application is Z 2023-22, Nicholas Berardi III of 606 Tennis Avenue. The applicant is seeking variance relief from sections 172-34B subsection 6 and 172-34B subsection 7 to allow for a garage and driveway expansion within the 15-foot side and 25-foot rear yard setbacks. The applicant also requests relief from any other sections of the zoning ordinance. May be realized during the process. Subject premises located in the R3 zoning district. So, and this is one that was continued from November. Mr. Berardi. All right. If you don't mind, just make sure your microphone is turned on and we'll get you sworn in.
I did.
And do we have anyone here as a party protestant or wishes to make public comment on this application? No? All right, and is the file in order?
File is in order. Yeah, on the overhead screen, we have photographs of the actual posting of the property. A slide that depicts the notices that, and the mailing list to all the residents within 200 feet, as well as proof of publication. It was advertised in the local paper on 2 separate days.
All right,
Mr. Chairman, based on the recommendation of the zoning officer, I ask that the application and accompanying documents submitted to the township be marked as Township Exhibit Number 1, that the list of residents within 200 feet being notified of tonight's hearing be marked as Township Exhibit Number 2, proofs of publication of 2 consecutive weeks and the daily times of notice of this evening's meeting be marked as Township Exhibit Number 3, and the actual picture of the posting of the property be marked as Township Exhibit Number 4, made part of the record.
all right, they are admitted. All right, the floor is yours, so take us through your application.
Okay, my name is Nicholas Berardi. I live at 606 Tennis Avenue, the owner also of the on record of on this property. I come before the board for a variance for a attached garage in the R3 residential zone. And we have a Google Earth aerial of the property. The property is an undersized, non-conforming lot that was improved with a single family dwelling that I live in. I bought the home 24 years ago and improved it to make it more livable. It started out as a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom home, which obviously was not great. So I added to it. The home itself is a non-conforming with respect to the front yard, the lot area, and the rear yard setback. The home was originally built in 1934, and I've done my best to try to preserve the look of the home with its unique character because of the age. So basically what I have here is, I have some pictures too to help you guys kind of understand where we're at. Thank you.
Make that part of the record. You want to have it marked, made part of the record as well.
So you have 3 pictures there. One is from the street, and that is to kind of give you an idea of where the property or the home is. The home was set fairly far forward because back, in 34, I guess that's what they did. The driveway was existing, and obviously you can see from my front where my front door is. That's the front door you can see in the picture. I originally was looking to do I was trying to build a garage because, as you can see, I have those vehicles there undercover, which is not the best, obviously, not only for the neighborhood, but also for me for security and things of that nature. So I looked at doing a detached garage because I knew that it's a very tight right there in that area at the end of the driveway. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that because of the setbacks that we have. A detached garage has to be behind, as you know, behind the property or behind the furthermost point of the home. So it only gives me 25 feet behind there, which obviously that's not going to work. I do have a shed currently there, and that would be removed. And when we tried our different configurations, what we came up with is to attach it to the home, which made the most sense. I then worked with my architect to right there. And these are codes. Here, that's yeah,
You can do it.
You need copy?
Yeah, please. Thank you. We marking this applicant too?
Thank you. Sure. Thank you.
So again, we tried a couple different configurations. You can see the existing home there in the picture. If you look at the street pictures, the existing home has dormers on it. So I kind of wanted to match the look of the home with the dormers. And it would have a slight drop, a couple feet drop from the roof line. The door and the window were put there to the right because this is the problem that I'm having, is that two things. One is because of where the front door is, I can't really use, and where the tree and my little patio there that's on the front, if you could see that, you can't really put the garage closer. So I have about 8 to 10 feet of dead space, which is where I said, well, I'll put the door and the window. That way you could enter the garage without having to go, if the garage doors are closed, to go all the way around into the home and then have to go around where my bathroom is and my kitchen. So the problem that I have is to line it up with the driveway, the existing driveway, and then with my proposal to expand the driveway in almost like a flag situation. So I'm not widening down at the bottom, but where it comes up. So keeping the existing driveway and then adding to it, it creates my problem of the home where you see on that far side where it would butt up against the garage is only 16 and a half, it's like 17 feet. It's like 16.8 deep. So that's already butted up against the 25 foot setback from the rear. So that's why I'm asking for a variance for the rear. So obviously a 16-foot garage with probably 15-foot interior spaces just wouldn't be enough to put a more current car.
But you're going to stay in line with the existing setback now, you're saying, with the new garage, with your existing.
Well, if I did, I wouldn't be able to, yeah, so right now, the back of the home is 25 feet from the rear set. And same as my neighbor on the other side. The problem that I have obviously is from basically where the end of my house is, which is where I would line up the garage, that's only 17 or 16.8 feet. So interior would only give me 15 feet. So I'm asking for a variance on the back to take it to like 17 feet off the back, which would give me another, which would take that to a 24-foot deep. And then to line up with the end of the driveway, that would then put me at it'd be 33 feet in total width of the garage, where to the left of it that you see on the garage doors. And so because of it, those homes on Tennis Avenue, or at least on the west side, are shallow lots. They're only like 100 feet deep. So that's why I have the rear distance issue. So I would be proposing to do 6 feet off the property line and line up the left-hand garage door or garage end to the driveway. And I would be doing a stormwater management system. I also have here every one of the neighbors that could actually physically see the home. I went, all the way around. So I have behind me the home that's actually behind this one that you can actually see in the picture. Across the street, I got Leonard Altieri, who lives also, he's my neighbor. So, him, Charlie, and pretty much, not pretty much, everybody that can see the property. And I went to them and I have them here on the petition if you want to, would I enter this as a?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just one copy here.
I think there's like 8 or 9 signatures in total. Yeah. So because of the, the positioning basically, of the garage, or I mean, of the, front door, I don't want to block the door. So the front door really becomes is really the Achilles heel. Because I wouldn't actually even probably, well, I would have to have an issue for the back setback. But, because of the shallowness of it. But with the door there, I just think it's a safety issue, because if I don't have the entrance door there and I'm too close to the front door, if you open the garage door, if someone's backing out of the garage and somebody's walking out the front door, you could see there that it's very tight. I have my engineer here who will be doing the stormwater management, and I have his input as well.
Sure. Right. So just so I'm looking at this the right way, so here's the proposed garage, rendering here.
Yeah.
Would be connected to this structure right here?
Correct.
Okay, and so your front door is here, you'd have a couple feet here, and then your door to the garage would be there. Right,
Correct.
and then because of the depth of the garage, you're extending beyond the current, I guess, furthest rear point of the home structure.
Exactly.
How many feet?
7 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of the issues when I talk,
feet beyond the house.
correct, seven,
Beyond
yeah.
where it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it would make it roughly 20
yeah. 17.
to the setback would be 17.6.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what it gives you. It gives you a 17.6 setback.
Yeah.
And currently, right now, my shed is beyond that.
Yep.
So when I think it's maybe like 10 feet off the back or something. So,
And this neighbor's home in the photo right here, he was the one of the folks
yeah,
that signed
Jim,
up
he
here?
signed there. Yeah, he asked me if I wanted him to come down, but
Yep.
I said it's fine. He said whatever you want to do and however you want to do it, he was fine with. Yeah.
Okay.
And, and then we had toyed around also about doing maybe a breezeway, because again, that's kind of dead space, that area, could be a breezeway, it could be whatever, that 7-8 feet where, because of where the tree is, you can see and everything, was why I was pushing it off. But then I came to the conclusion when I talked to the builder, and he was like, well, you can store bikes there, put bicycles there or something like that. That would be, you could do cabinets there or something like that for storage or something, because again, to back the car, as you could see, if you were to back, plus I didn't really want to put the driveway right up against the, you know what I mean? Like right up against the patio, and then have a garage door right when you walk out the door.
And
That was
the last question for me anyway, for now, the second floor of the garage,
Yeah.
that'll be living space?
I was gonna do like, it wasn't gonna have a very high ceiling, so maybe like 6 or 7 feet. And I was gonna do something more like storage.
Okay.
So as you can see with my toys that I have a couple of, rims. So right now, on my other side, I have, under cover, I have, a set of wheels for the car, and I have, an ATV over there, which I would, I could, squeeze that in there, and then I could take any of the excess parts or whatever I could put on the second floor. So it'd be more like a storage, if you will.
Got it. Thank you.
And I also thought it would aesthetically look better with, so you see the siding that's on there, that cedar siding?
Yeah.
That would match. And, and then the front door that's like that, brown color, I would match it with the matching garage doors, and I would match the side door and window to the existing. So basically it would look more like, and it is an addition, but it would look more attractive than some, Amish garage that gets dropped in.
Andy, do you have any questions?
I may have missed it, but is there living going to be, do you have second floor living here?
No, not on, no, so it wouldn't line up because so what I talked to the builder about is to do the interior ceilings like 10 feet, and because the house is from 1930, the interior of my home is only about 7.5 feet. So it would line up, but my bedroom is those two windows you see at the top. So it wouldn't be like a closet or anything that would actually, it wouldn't be able to line up to connect, number one. And number two is, I would probably put, like, I'm a barber by trade, so maybe I would put like my barber chair up there, and I would put like stored material, but I like wheels and things like that, car stuff. But not like a quote unquote livable space.
Could you just address address the question of the need for the breezeway as opposed to straight out the door or the garage doors?
Yeah, so if you look at you mean as opposed to why I decided to go with attached as opposed to the breezeway? Is that what you're saying? I was back and forth about it. The one thing that he said is you can see how the dormers, to balance out the overall 33-foot width, see how the dormers are kind of placed on top of the garage. If you did a breezeway, he said it might look a little funny to kind of balance them, like, so I have two dormers on the existing house. And when I talked to the architect, he said, you could do a breezeway, but so for me to conform or for it to work, I'd have to connect the home, right? As opposed to be a freestanding structure, right? And you would have to connect it with a roof line, right? Which you could do, but it would look a little strange if where that door and that window is like a 7-foot or 8-foot breezeway. I could do it. I mean, I see it all over Newtown Square.
You still have a setback issue, though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You'd still have the same setback.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't solve and trust me, we've worked this 7 ways to Sunday, and and I even talked to all my neighbors. I talked to Leonard, I talked to Charlie, we've all lived here for a while. Well, Leonard's fairly new, but we've all lived here for a long time, and they make jokes all the time, like, when are you gonna get a garage? Because, obviously I got these cars with covers over them, which, and I expanded the house. And so like the next thing was to save up money so that I could build the garage. And I've, over the last 24 years, I've kind of pieced this together, but also keep in conformity with, the rest of the neighborhood. And, and I like, the original house had cedar on it. And, I thought that, to make them happy. I know they joke, but at the end of the day, it does bug me too, that I don't have a place to, put the cars. So the garage was the issue. And when I had the engineer come out, or the architect come out, and I talked, with Nick here, the engineer, and we worked out things, because I still would have to build, stormwater management, all that stuff. What would look the best? Granted, it's not the cheapest. This way is a lot more expensive, obviously. It's costing me more money to build it an extra couple of feet because of my front door issue. And, look, if I could, I wouldn't push it back any further because I like having a backyard, right? But I have a patio out there, and, and so I don't want to eat up my backyard any more than I have to. So it's kind of like I'm stuck. It's like you can't really push it forward, and you can't, and it's not usable in that corner. So, and of course, again, it's costing me more money, but I don't mind because I like this neighborhood. I just continue, and all fairness, a year or two ago, I looked at, well, maybe I sell my house and I move further out and buy a house with a garage. But I like my neighbors. I like it here. There's, and my son went to Newtown Square, or to Marple Newtown, and he just graduated from Widener with his master's degree, and we like it there. We tinker on cars, and to tinker
Can
on
I
cars.
ask another quick question?
Yeah. Sure.
This is the back of the garage, correct?
Correct.
And it
There's-
looks like there's a garage door in the back.
There is.
What's the function? What do you
So the-
anticipate the
Yeah,
function
so
of
the
that?
function for that was kind of like as almost like, in a way, it doubles as a breezeway. So if I have people over and we walk through, because I didn't plan on putting a door on the backside, right? So I thought, well, if I have people over and we're so my patio is right back there, right? So that way you could kind of walk through. It's not set in stone. I don't have to have it, but I thought it would be kind of neat to have like a, you
I
know,
just didn't want, you're not thinking about cars going out the back.
no, no, well, there's no room. No, I
That's
mean,
why I wonder why it was a garage door as opposed. to-
yeah, I don't-
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I've seen it done before and I thought, you know, when I have people over and we're in the patio and we kind of walk around, you know, again, same as you guys, it was like, if I don't have the breezeway, and actually, to be honest with you, the architect was the one that brought it up. He was like, well, you can throw a garage, he said, I do it all the time. We throw garage doors on the back, insulated, of course. He said that way, you know, if you don't have your breezeway where people can kind of cut back and forth through, you could, when you have people over and because that was kind of my thought. Again, it's not set in stone. I talked to Jim about it, my neighbor behind, he said, yeah, that's cool, because he comes over all the time, he'll cut through, you know, the back where the fence is, he'll cut through. And, you know, he's always sees me out there working, you know, and, you know, it's just, yeah, so.
Anybody else, any additional questions?
No.
Any questions?
Public participation.
What's that?
Public participation.
There was no.
No.
Nope, I asked that at the beginning, so, does anybody want to make a motion on this application?
I'll make a motion to approve application Z 2023-22. Allowing for the addition structure to be built, as long as it conforms to the proposed side yard and rear yard setbacks.
Is there a second?
Just for clarity, when you say comply with that, you're talking about the 6 feet relief and the 17-foot relief on the rear?
17.6.
So, yeah, 17.6 on the rear.
Yep.
And so was it 6 on the side?
It was proposed as 6, I believe it's 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the
Yes.
relief you're granting, correct?
Yes.
And the standard conditions.
Yes. All right, is there a second?
Make it condition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's, the shed will be gone.
The
that-
shed will be removed.
Just want to make sure that's. in
Yeah,
there.
well, it's there, it's in the way anyway, it's right there, so that will be removed, yeah. I have no reason for it after.
What can we, Sam, can we put that in as a condition that the
Yes.
shed will be
Shed,
removed?
yes.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries. Good luck with your
Thank you.
garage.
Thank you.
Next application. Next application is Z 2023-29, Mark and Linda Wagner, 202 Park Avenue. The applicant is seeking variance relief from sections 172-34B subsection 5 to allow for an addition to be built within the front yard setback. The applicant also requests relief from any other section of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premise is located in the R3 zoning district. Mr. and Mrs. Wagner. Want to just step up here, we'll have you sworn in.
How you doing?
All right, how are you?
Good. We do.
And do we have anyone here who wishes to make public comment on this application or a party protestant? All right. Andy, file in order.
File is in order. Again, on the overhead screen, you'll see a physical posting of the property, as well as the notice that was mailed to all residents within 200 feet of the property boundaries. In addition to the proof of publication that this hearing was advertised in a local paper on 2 separate occasions.
All right. Sam.
Chairman, based on the recommendation of the zoning officer, I ask that the application and any accompanying documents and exhibits that were presented be marked as Township Exhibit number 1. List of residents within 200 feet of the subject property who were notified of tonight's meeting be marked as Exhibit T2 or Township Exhibit 2. Proofs of publication from the Daily Times 2 consecutive weeks be marked as Township Exhibit number 3. And the picture of the posting of tonight's notice of tonight's hearing on the subject property be marked as Township Exhibit number 4, and they will all be made part of the record.
All right, they are admitted. All right, Floor is-
Could I ask a quick question?
sure. Floor is not yours.
My understanding is that you're seeking a de minimis setback relief of 2.5 feet.
Correct.
From the front yard requirement of 45 feet.
That is correct.
So you can do all these nice things to your home.
Yes,
And that the neighbors next door have no issues with that 2.5 foot variance.
exactly. Yeah, we've got letters to that effect.
Yes, you provided us letters.
Yes.
I'm not gonna have any questions.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, we're happy to go through anything you want, but I mean, it's obviously pretty straightforward. You can see what it'll look like, greatly improved area. Our side facing house right now will become front facing. Letters of support, and it's 2.5 feet. So pretty straightforward.
Like to make a motion to deny? No, I'm just kidding. Any questions or concerns, Andy, from you before we?
No, I
Quickly.
don't. Not other than the fact that I believe that some method of stormwater management will be required.
Yes, we're aware. Yep, and we've already gotten quotes, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, so we're aware we're good. The question is probably going to be between 500 and 1,000, whatever that calls for, or 1,000 and more.
Right.
Yeah, so it'll be one or the other, and we will deal with that.
Very good. Thank you.
I would make a motion on application 2023-29 that the applicant be granted the variance relief from section 172-34B5 to allow for the addition to be built with a variance of 2.5 feet from the 45-foot front yard setback.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right,
Thank you.
let's set a record for things.
Pretty complicated one.
Questions, so.
Nice touch first.
That
Oh,
was
you like the dog?
Other rocking chair, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep,
You're like,
good luck.
Throw a dog in there.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. All right, next up is application Z 2023-30, Matthew and Lindsay McGowan of 311 North Newtown Street Road. The applicant is seeking a special exception from sections 172-103F subsection 10 and or 172-103G subsection 3A to allow for a house with an art studio. The applicant is also seeking variance relief from sections 172-103G, 172-103G subsection 5, and 172-29B subsection 6 to allow for the pool house to exceed the maximum footprint allowed and to allow for building within the aggregate side yard setback. The applicant also requests relief from any other sections of the zoning ordinance to be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premises located in the R1 zoning district. God, that took longer than the last case to read. So we have the McGowans here. Let's get them sworn in.
That's fine.
I do. All right, do we have anybody here who wishes to make public comment or is a party protestant on this application? No? Okay, Andy, is the file in order?
The file is in order again. You'll see up on the overhead is a photograph of the physical posting of the property, a list of addresses for neighboring properties that received a notice of tonight's hearing within 200 feet of the property boundary, and the proof of publication that the hearing was advertised in a local paper on 2 separate occasions.
Chairman, in accordance with the representation of the zoning officer, I ask that the application and accompanying documents and exhibits be marked as Township Exhibit number 1, that the list of residents within 200 feet of the subject property were notified of this evening's meeting be marked as Township Exhibit number 2, and that the proofs of publication from the advertising of 2 consecutive weeks of tonight's hearing in the Daily Times be marked as Exhibit T3, and the picture of the posting of the subject property indicating tonight's meeting be marked as exhibit, township exhibit number 4, made part of the record.
All right, they are admitted. All right,
We begin?
yes, all yours.
Good evening. My name is Don Petros. I'm an attorney representing Mr. and Mrs. McGowan, the applicants in this case. And as Andy indicated, and Sam, the property is 311 North Newtown Street Road. It's in an R1 zoning district. The driveway access to the property is off of North Newtown Street Road. There's a long driveway to get back to the property. And it's, the property's a little bit south and east of the water tank. If you know where the water, I'm sure you know where the water tank is there. And the McGowans have owned this property since 2016. They reside there with their 3 children. What they propose to do is to build a swimming pool and a 2-story accessory pool house, the second floor of which would be used as Lindsay's artist studio. And the footprint of the proposed pool house is 717 square feet. So I guess it's about the size of 3.5 parking spaces, if you can picture that. Because of the size of the property is a 4.726 acre property, the gross acreage. Because of the size of the property, it constitutes a mini estate under the township zoning ordinance. A mini estate is defined as a residential property in the R1 district consisting of 3 or more acres, but less than 5 acres, and it's considered a mini estate. Basically, the ordinance allows anybody in the R1 zoning district to have 1,180 square feet of accessory buildings. However, the ordinance provides certain types of properties, which include estates and include mini estates, because they're larger properties, are allowed to have additional square footage of accessory buildings. And the ordinance says that accessory building allocation of square footage for estates is based on multiples of the permitted allocation in the R1 district, resulting in 135 square feet of additional accessory building coverage or square feet for every acre or portion thereof. So that, and it gives examples of a 3-acre property, a 4-acre property. And if you use that and make the calculations based on the gross area of the property, it would allow, I think, as much or more square footage than what we're proposing. If you took a net lot area, the way you would do for determining whether or not a lot has the minimum required lot area with some net outs, then it would exceed that. So there are different ways that you can figure this out. My reading of the ordinance is that it uses the term site, it uses the term parcel, it uses the term property. In one place it uses the term lot. So I believe it's gross. I don't believe it is net. And if you took the 4.726 acres and you did the acreage exactly times the 135 square feet of additional accessory structures, you would come up with 1,818 square feet. So we would be 13 square feet over what the ordinance would allow. And I apologize for this. Every time I read the ordinance, I see something different in it. It says it's 135 square feet per acre or portion thereof. And generally that language or portion thereof means or portion of an acre. So at 4.7, it really allows you to round up to 5. And if you do the math on a 5-acre property, we would be allowed 1,855 square feet. We're proposing 1,831 square feet. So that, that's basically what the issue was. Even if you take the worst, most conservative approach and say that we're 199 square feet over, that's still the size of one parking space on a 4-acre property. Just a couple other facts that might be of use. In looking at impervious coverage, the ordinance allows 25% of the lot to be covered by impervious surface. Existing is 8.4%. and proposed is 10.4%. So even with the additional proposed building, we'd be less significantly less than half of what is allowed for impervious surface. And the applicants are taking great care to make this building very attractive. They hired a well-known architect who's here this evening. It'll be a beautiful building. So we don't think there's any adverse negative impact on anybody in the community. They will be required to do stormwater management because the ordinance provides if you have more than 100 square feet of new accessory buildings, you've got to do stormwater management. And they're going to provide, because they want to, some additional landscaping. The property is pretty well landscaped now, but there are a few gaps, and they've hired a landscape company to fill in those gaps with screening. The architect doesn't feel we need screening because it's a very beautiful building. The building's on the property, as you can see from the photographs that we did submit, and I'll hand up exhibit packets just in case you don't have them. They're old properties. That the house stems back, the original house, from the 1700s. The accessory building, there's another accessory building on there, is from the 1800s. So, and we're trying to match the appearance of those buildings with the new structure. That is basically what the case is all about. And I would propose to call Matt McGowan to testify, similar to what I've indicated in my opening remarks. And then we have a civil engineer, Peter Kukunis, who did the plans, and he would basically indicate what I did too. I'm sorry, there's one thing I didn't mention, which was the issue of the side yard setback. We're complying with the side yard setback on the southern portion of the property, which is where the building is going. We meet the setback there. I think I may have overthought it, but the aggregate required side yard setback is 85 feet. We're having a setback, if you measure to the pool house itself, which I think you do, is of like 42.7 feet. So we exceed the minimum of 40 feet. But there's an existing non-conforming side yard on the other side of the property, on the north side of the property, because of that building from the 1800s. It's about 37.1 feet. So I think we would be like 79.7. We'd be 5.3 feet less than the aggregate that the ordinance would require if you're starting from scratch. But that's totally because of an existing condition that we're not affecting or changing at all. And that's basically what we would present. Would you like me to call Mr. McGowan? Sure. Okay, state your name, and the witnesses have all been, these two have been sworn anyhow. Okay.
Matthew McGowan,
And what is your home address?
311 North Newtown Street Road.
And do you live there with your wife, Lindsay, who is seated to my left, and your 3 children?
I do, yeah. We have 2 daughters, 10 and 9. Little guy, he's 5.
Okay. And is it, I wanted to hand these up. I don't think this is anything you probably haven't already seen. These were the exhibits that we filed with the original application.
Free, right? Free?
Okay. Matt, Exhibit A1 in the package is a copy of the deed for your property showing that you and Lindsay purchased the property in 2016.
That's correct.
And how is the property connected to Newtown Street Road?
We have a very long driveway directly off of North Newtown Street Road, otherwise known as 252.
Okay. And Exhibit A2 is just an aerial view of your property and the surrounding neighborhood, just to give the board a better idea of exactly where the property is located.
That's right.
Okay. And We included some photos of the property and I've marked them and called them exhibits A3A through A3K. Just generally, what do the photographs show?
Yeah, so you're seeing roughly the area, the proposed pool and pool house there. You can see, our yard, you can see
That's
one
the
side
house
of our
there,
house
yeah.
that faces the south. That's sort of the south, and then also the west wall there. And this is the north side of the house. That's actually our front door is how the property is situated. And that's another shot of the north side. And just the, I guess the east side of our house there to give you a flair for sort of the house and how we're trying to match everything together with the proposed structure.
Okay. And just briefly describe the improvements that you and Lindsay are proposing to make at this time.
Right, we're looking to add a pool and a pool house that blends in with, the exhibits there you just saw.
And what's the size of the footprint of the proposed pool house?
717 square feet.
And what is proposed to be located on each of those two floors?
On the first floor, the idea is basically just, have a spot to cool off, when it's 95 degrees, 95% humidity. And, be a seating area there, where you could catch the game. And then on the second floor, my lovely wife Lindsay here is talented as an artist. And we're just a little jammed up with a growing family of 5 with our current footprint. She has an easel set up in a room, but if she takes a misstep, she's like hitting the corner of a bed. And so she's talented in this area. Would love her to give her an opportunity to have a dedicated space to pursue what she loves.
Okay, and exhibit A4 is the zoning relief plan. Does that show where the proposed pool house and pool would be located?
It does, that's right.
And it's sort of the southern part of the property,
Correct.
and it's all within the building envelope of the property?
It is.
Now, how did you select this site, or excuse me, the location for the pool and pool house? Could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. We have an interesting layout of our property. As you can see, a very long driveway. There's actually 2 ponds on the property. And so we ended up walking the property, Lindsay and I, with Richard Buchanan here in attendance and his colleague, Matt Forsyth from Archer and Buchanan.
Or the architects?
The architects, correct. And, Richard basically said, this is the spot if you want to, naturally situate it. And I noted some of the sort of unique geographic constraints of the property as it is, but that's how we came to that location.
Okay. And have you discussed the project with any of your neighbors?
We have, yeah, our whole family visited the 3 neighbors on the southeast corner. Matt and Renata Joseph are at, I wrote down their addresses, 57 Roberts Road. Only Matt was home. And we dropped off a copy of the Archer and Buchanan plan along with the pool concept, had a very friendly discussion. He's very supportive. They have a pool in their yard. He was talking about the good memories with their family. So that was very positive. We also spoke with Tim and Jackie Yanush from 61 Roberts Road. Same thing, dropped off copies of the plans and the pool concept, and they were also very supportive. We knocked on the door, 65 Roberts Road, Tom and Emily Basca. We dropped plans and said, feel free to contact us if you have any questions or concerns. This was back January 4th. We haven't heard from them. Very nice family, though. We have a lot of neighbors, I think 18 immediate neighbors. So we ended up just reaching out to a few others. And so we have a letter of support from Dana Montgomery at 22 Sugar Maple. Had a verbal conversation with Pete McKenna at 3601 Goshen Road. Discussed the plans verbally. He was very supportive. And, I guess that's 6, we knocked on the door, and for the Harshalls at 41 Sugar Maple, no one was home there, but it's all been positive feedback.
Did you retain a civil engineer, Peter Kukunis of Site Engineering Concepts, to prepare civil plans and to ultimately design a stormwater management system to be submitted to the township for review.
Yes, that's correct.
And have you also retained Joe Blandy of Stony Bank Nurseries to develop a plan for landscaping?
That's right.
And can you describe, I mentioned it in my opening, but basically what landscaping you're thinking about at this point?
Yes, I mean, so the idea is to do like normal landscaping around the pool to soften things. And then in addition to that, I think our idea is to add, there's already substantial landscaping on the southern border. And Joe will get into this, but we would want to add greenery, vegetation, where there are gaps, to just add more green and lushness. I think it would sort of be mutually beneficial. I know I've offended the architect in saying that, but yeah, more greener.
We actually, I don't know if you want to get into that. We have a copy of a preliminary plan that he's done that shows the areas where the additional landscaping will be put, but we just brought it in case any of the neighbors were here and had questions about it. If you'd like to see it, we'll show it. Now, do you believe, Matt, that the proposed improvements will have any negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood?
I do not. I mean, you know, working with Archer and Buchanan to build a beautiful structure, and then also taking care to work with top folks and really trying to make it beautiful, not only for our property, but for the neighborhood as well.
How old are the existing buildings on the property? I mentioned some things in my opening, but can you give us an idea of that?
Yeah, the original portion of the house, I think, dates back to the 1780s, and then they sort of build out incrementally from there. The newest portion is from early 1900s. And yeah, that's kind of the range.
And is there anything you'd like to add?
Not really. I mean, I grew up in Malvern. My wife's from media. My parents put in a pool my senior year of high school, so kind of missed that. Our kids are young. We're trying to do it, you know, while they're at prime ages. And then likewise, you know, my wife has a talent as a painter, and trying to find a way to facilitate that for her, so that she can enjoy it.
That's all the questions I have. I don't know if the board has any questions with this or not.
You know, a lot going on with this, I guess, and looking at this plan. I mean, are we looking really at dealing with like a 13 square foot overage on what they're doing here? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Don and I talked about it. I don't think there's a lot of zoning relief needed. I mean, the 13 square foot, maybe the aggregate side yard setback. I just don't see a lot here. The main question I had, you know, we have a definition of accessory structure, and it's, in my opinion, it's very broad. It just simply has to be subordinate to the primary dwelling, and which I believe this is. We also have very specific requirements for height and area for things like garages and sheds, but the code goes silent when it comes to a structure like this, a pool house. We don't have, other than the maximum height limitation in the zoning district of 35 feet, we don't have a specific or a more reduced height limitation for an accessory structure of this nature. So, you know, the amenities that are inside, it doesn't speak to any type of living quarters.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a full basement, a first floor, and then a loft area, and a habitable loft. So it's going to appear as a two-story structure, but in my opinion, it's still accessory.
One thing I wanted to mention, that the ordinance in one place seems to suggest that a pool house is like a use permitted by right, but in two other sections, it mentions needing to get a special exception. So we did request a special exception for the pool house. And the variance, if you believe we're over, you know, the allowable square footage of accessory structures, and just a variance for the aggregate side yard setback, which is really kind of an existing condition.
I guess does nothing apply, I guess, in terms of how many structures are on the property, I guess? Do we not, because of the size of the property, have to worry about things? It looks like
Well,
Is that-
I do think it's the mini estate, additional square footage is applicable. And I believe that, Don, your testimony was that if we base it on, gross lot area,
Right.
that they will be under that 1,855 square feet that's allowed in the R1 zoning district.
Yeah,
And I also agree with Don that the code reads that you can, if there's a portion of an acre, it does round up.
but I think we're actually under just slightly, but we're under the allowable square footage.
Well, do we, like, in,
So I
There's so
think
many
you're really
things in
down to
here.
the special exception.
well, that's what I was gonna say, do we want to wait to make a decision if there's anything, Sam, that we need to put in there, or
Well,
any concerns from your end if we're?
Well, that's entirely up to the board. You have the ability to make your decision within 45 days of tonight's hearing. So you can not necessarily have to rush through an answer tonight. If you so choose, you go into executive session. If there are some thoughts or clarity that you need, that would be entirely up to you. But as far as I understand Don's application, there is a request for a special exception, 2 variances, one a side yard variance, one for accessory purposes.
Yeah, and frankly, based on the interpretation I put forward, we don't need it on the amount of square footage of accessory structures. All we need is a special exception and a variance for the side yard setback of about 5.3 feet on the aggregate.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm okay, me personally, with making a decision tonight, but I wouldn't mind at least getting a couple minutes so we can make sure that if we approve this, to make sure we get everything covered in how we're approving it, because there's a lot, again, being asked for in terms of relief and a lot of subsections.
Want to consider a executive session?
Yeah, and we can do it tonight if everybody's okay with that. I don't want to make everybody wait, till the next meeting. Is that okay with the board? Any issue with that? Okay.
Let's adjourn to executive session for
All right.
a couple minutes.
Do it now, I guess? So I get, then you can get the. Tom, and we can-
This is the one down here, the light. My father. Yeah.
Yeah, and I looked at it, and I said,
This building is. So the real question. It was what they're going on.
Oh, I.
We're there for the last.
No, no. I don't think we're out there. Oh. That shit has a lot.
Yeah.
Gonna get his, squares. But now he was building the garage. Oh. Also, you can see here. Nothing on it. I saw that. Say. I believe that he knows it. Yeah. Yep. All righty, I'm gonna leave it to stay for the rest of this. You take care. Do I think it'll be over in how well? No. I would be very surprised. You need to be.
That's how long it takes.
Oh, I would think looking down. Still. Who cares? Make sure you're not messing with the microphone. Just improve it, you get a lot. Yeah. That's very nice. Yeah. It's right across the street, actually, it's like kind of a attic corner up the hill. Hey? You good other than that? Am I ready for my close up? I need to take. Come on.
So I should just sort of this out, right? I talked about 445.
The number of, actually, I would just list that.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah. Here, this out. I'll make this the number of hours. Because up here, all the ones. It's not the top of the slide. And then let's just end the parts on
do you there?
you can tell her it's not.
Should I all just there?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Have a good evening. I think there is. Oh, like your kid, it's like, yeah. So he just wants to make sure that he's getting right. So, you know. My daughter, yeah. So he, so But I think that our farm is. She called about. Yeah, no, and I said, I meant about it in such a time. We gave you this. I'm still. Makes it really hard. It's, I wouldn't, I'm not sitting in your shoes, but I'm not. It's your 5 series job. I think. Whatever you can. Yeah. I mean, I really think that it's on what you read. Big issues. And the actual say that it's causes. So this is an ad. Come on. You always. That's all. So. I like you all. I don't know, so I was. And wait, that'd be the first time that I've been wrong on where I thought things were, but I did not tell them. Yeah, nice to meet you. That is a boss, what you saying, Phil, your kids can enjoy that. We love our food, so part of it was the love ground, we thought it was the greatest thing, so. It's very good. That other is right up front. I said, is it old down? Yeah. It is amazing that it is all. I'm wrong. I don't. But I think it's like. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry.
So I'll get you two right now. I said, "Well, I want more than that." Well, you better take them. All right. I don't know, Sam.
I don't know, they better get some more pitching. They need it back at the bullpen.
Yeah.
They don't have a closer.
I don't know what was that fall off of the Eagles. Oh,
No, Eagles. I can't even talk about it.
you're so old. They catch the ball. Those guys on top of you.
They could have had 5 more touchdowns.
Oh, sure. They help.
They can't, they don't know how to tackle.
All right. Write it up.
All right, thank you everyone for your patience.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, my God, go over.
If it's not there, you can't. I'm gonna make a motion with regard to application 2023-30. I make the motion that the request for the variance with regard to the aggregate side yard setback, the 5.3 feet be granted. That the special exception for the pool house is granted, and because we find it to be compliant, no relief is required for that. There is a condition that it won't be used for residential use. There'll be compliance with the township stormwater requirements as well as the landscape buffering requirements. I think that covers it.
All right,
Your solicitor, does that cover it? I just want clarity that we're not requiring a decision with regard to the accessory request for accessory variance because we think you're compliant and there's no ruling on that.
all right. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Good luck with your pool house and pool and studio.
We'll be all right.
All right, next application is Z 2023-31. Nikolai Zhirov, 30 Surrey Drive. Applicant is seeking variance relief from section 172-103C subsection 1C to allow for a shed that exceeds the allowable size. The applicant also requests relief from any other section of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premise is located in the R3 zoning district. Nikolai, did I say your last name correctly? All right. All right. All right, let's get you sworn in. Before we, yeah, sorry, just a couple things we had to take care of. So is the file in order?
Photograph of the property, a list of addresses which we deliver notice to all property owners. Property boundary. Application that this hearing was advertised in the local paper, 2 separate occasions.
All right, Sam.
Chairman, based on the representation of the zoning officer, I ask that the application and accompanying documents and exhibits presented by the applicant be marked as Township Exhibit number 1, that the list of residents that have been provided notice of tonight's meeting within 200 feet of the resident property be marked as Exhibit Township 2, proofs of publication in the Daily Times 2 consecutive weeks be made Exhibit Township number 3, and the picture of the posting of the property notifying the public of tonight's meeting as Township Exhibit 4 be made part of the record.
All right, they are admitted. And do we have anybody here who wishes to make public comment or party protestant on this application? No? All right, it's all yours. Is there a green light on there?
They don't know, I believe so, yes. Thank you. We bought a property in 2020 with an existing shed there, size 10 by 16, which was in despair condition. You have some pictures that we submitted with the application. So finally decided to move forward and get a new one, apply for the for a permit for a new shed during that period of time. We didn't want to waste any time and ask if we can remove the old crumbly shed, which we were allowed to. So we took it down and realized that because of R3 zoning, we cannot have a shed bigger than 100 square feet. We're just trying to get the same size shed in the spot.
Trying to just match what was there. What was
Absolutely.
taken down.
Exactly the same, yes, 10 by 16. So then we had to apply for variance in the petition. We put some pictures up with the application. The only thing that we don't, that you guys don't have is probably, we collected some letters from the neighbors, all the neighbors on both sides of us and across the street from us, in support of putting the same size shed back there.
Is the new shed in already or just?
I purchased the shed. I was trying to move very fast with it. It started sometime in October. The shed is still with the place where I purchased it from. Waiting for approval before to tell them to come and bring it in. There I did spoke to Andy and because I wanted to move before the winter. Obviously now it's too late, snow is on the ground, but we was able to get a concrete slab 10 by 16. I submitted a separate permit request. So I already have the slab, everything is ready there for it. In case we don't get approved, we will have 10 by 10 shed with a.
Is that what's allowed there, 10 by 10?
Well, we did that because there's no question about the total impervious coverage. So we had that discussion and I thought it was fair to allow them to go ahead and put that concrete work in because that concrete work would be compliant.
Okay.
He would just have to reduce the size of the shed if the variance wasn't granted.
Okay. And the previous shed was the 10 by 16 that was there? I mean,
And just for the record, the R3 district only allows 100 square foot shed. And we don't protect non-conformities like that.
Okay.
Oh.
And so the spot where he put the slab of concrete now, there's no concerns over setbacks or anything like that. So that was all met in terms of.
It is 5 feet off the property line on the back and 10 on one side and 33 from the other. So it is compliant with the requirements.
Is the height of the new shed that you're looking to purchase the same as the height of the shed that you?
I have the paperwork here. I can look at it.
That may also come into play because our code limits it to 8 feet
For height.
for height.
I believe it is because I believe actually the shed place submitted their COI with the township as well when we put the application originally. I do have no, that's not something that just the shed.
Says the back wall 7 feet 4 inches.
Yeah, this is what we.
But that, I
But-
assume that does not include the.
It's a 612 roof pitch. I don't know. When they do the calculation on that, but
I feel like probably, I mean, with that pitch, I mean, he's probably gonna be over the 8, right? If he has a 7-foot high walls and then by the time he does
If
the
it's,
6.
if it's a standard peak roof, I would say probably only needs a foot or two in
Yeah,
the height variance.
any issues from your side of things? Sorry. Any questions or concerns from the board? Nope. All right.
Make you nervous.
I'll make a motion to approve application Z 2023-31, allowing relief for the shed size up to 10 by 16.
Thank you.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Are we gonna deal with any possible relief necessary if it exceeds the 8 feet height?
I think he's gonna be over 8 anyways, probably pushing more like 9, right? If he's doing
Well,
that.
but-
So,
But he'd need a variance for that because our regulation is 8.
Yes.
so then what do we want to say in there to give him
Well,
the,
you want to give him relief on the height as well, up
Yes.
to whatever.
do you know what that would get us to
Well-
with that calculation with the,
If it's a typical peak roof.
The walls are
It's
7
10 feet, so
Yeah.
half of that would be 5. And if it's a 512 roof, that's 25 inches. Plus, so that's 2'1" over 7 feet, so that's 9 feet, just over 9 feet.
all right,
I think you're safe in going to 10.
all right,
Okay.
let's go to 10. All right,
Thank you.
all right. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good night.
you. You too.
Oh, Kirsten Garrow. KIERSTIN. Yes, thank you.
Nicholas, I'll get your permit out like Monday,
Okay, perfect.
but you're welcome to go ahead and tell them.
Yeah,
sure.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Next up is application Z 2023-32, J Rowe Property Group, 326 Bishop Hollow Road. Care of Ernie Spiros Angelos Esquire on behalf of Nick Lanzetta, pertaining to the subject property. The applicant is seeking variance relief from section 172-33B subsection 1 and 172-33B subsection 6 to allow a flag lot with a lot width of less than 125 feet. The applicant also requests relief from many other sections of the zoning ordinance that may be realized during the zoning hearing process. Subject premise is located in the R2 zoning district. While you're getting that, do we have anybody here, I guess, as a party protestant or public comment? Nothing? And Andy, is the file in order?
Files in order, you'll see on the overhead a photograph of the physical posting of the property. Also, the mailing list of all addresses that the notice was mailed to within 200 feet of the property boundary. And the publication that this hearing was advertised in local paper on 2 separate occasions.
Right?
Chairman, based on the recommendation of our zoning officer, I ask that the application and the accompanying documents and exhibits that were submitted by the applicant be marked as Township Exhibit 1. The list of residents within 200 feet of the subject property were provided with notice of tonight's meeting is Township Exhibit number 2. Proofs of publication in the Delaware County Daily Times 2 consecutive weeks be marked as Township Exhibit number 3. And the posting of the property on the subject property providing notice of tonight's hearing be marked as Township Exhibit number 4, be made part of the record.
All right, they are admitted. Thank you. And we want to get these gentlemen sworn in. All right. So first, I'd like to say to the board, I'm really impressed on how quickly you moved to 7 cases. It's impressive. Good evening. My name's Ernie Angelos. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Raphael Pupio, and I have the pleasure this evening of representing J. Rook Property Group LLC, who is the owner of the property at 326 Bishop Hollow Road. I have an exhibit packet, if I may approach and provide that. Break it up with. Oh, man, very easy to read. Yeah. Marking this is. No, no, this is recently so. Just briefly, if I may, just a quick opening. The subject property is located in the township's R2 residential zoning district. It consists of 1.722 acres and is currently improved with a single-family dwelling with a driveway and uses on-site water and septic. My client purchased the property in May of 2023 and is proposing a 2-lot subdivision with a flag lot to the back. We're going to call that lot 2 and a single-family dwelling proposed on that lot. And then the current property in lot 1, current dwelling there is going to remain as is. On lot septic and public water is proposed for lot 2, along with an infiltration facility to address stormwater runoff. Joining me this evening to my left is Nick Lanzetta, the principal of J. Rook Group Properties LLC. And then to my right is Eric Janicka, who is from Kelly Engineers. Both I can have testified this evening and plan on doing so, but quickly. To provide some brief contextual, or at least dimension context, the R2 district requires 25,000 square foot minimum lots area. The front lot, lot 1, is proposed to contain 25,923 square feet net, and the rear lot, lot 2, is proposed to contain 40,141.10 square feet net. Lot 1 currently has 150 feet of frontage, and lot 2 is proposed to have 25 feet, and that's one of the variances we're seeking this evening. Existing front yard setback for lot 1 is 84.24 feet and is proposed to be 75.74 feet. Lot 2 is proposed to be no less than 60 feet. Regard to the existing side yard setback, that's 31.06 feet and a 73.39 foot aggregate. Lot 2 is proposed to be 17.33 feet and will actually meet the aggregate at 48.39 feet. Lot 2 is proposed to be no less than 20 feet and a 45-foot aggregate. With regard to the existing rear setbacks, it's actually a pretty large property. We have 363.76 feet, and it's proposed to be 96.15 feet for lot 1, with lot 2 proposed to be no less than 40 feet. If we look at the existing building coverage, building area is 1.77%, we're proposing 5.12 for lot 1 and no greater than 15 for lot 2. And then lastly, in connection with the impervious coverage, where existing coverage is 6.66%, we're proposing 19.38% for lot 1 and no greater than 30% for lot 2. So specifically for this evening, we're seeking 2 variances. One is from section 172.22B1, and that's to allow a frontage of 25 feet for the flag lot where 125 feet is required. And this is for the stem of the flag lot, which is where the proposed driveway is. And then secondly, a variance from section 17-33B6 to allow for a 17.33 foot side yard setback for lot 1, again, due to the stem for lot 2, although the aggregate 45 foot is met for lot 1. If I can just briefly go through the exhibits for the record, for the packet, there's exhibits A1 through A9. A1 is a deed to the subject property. A2 is the CV of Mr. Janicka. A3 is the existing conditions plans, which was prepared by Kelly Engineers. A4 is a Google Earth image, existing conditions for 326 Bishop Hollow.
and the surrounding properties. A5 is the proposed record plan, also prepared by Kelly Engineers. A6 is a grading and utility plan. A7 is an erosion control plan. A8 is a township subdivision and land development attachment 4 to section 1, or actually chapter 148, and that deals with setbacks for flag lots. And then finally, A9 is a letter from the Delaware County Planning Department, which is actually scheduling a review of the subdivision plan for earlier today at 4 p.m. I don't know what the result of that is yet, but that was scheduled for earlier today. At this point, if I may, no direct questions, I'd like to call Mr. Lanzetta briefly to go through his testimony. Okay. Nick, can you please state and spell your last name for the record?
Nicholas Lanzetta, Lanzetta.
Okay, and where do you reside?
Ridley Township.
And regarding the applicant, J. Rook Property Group LLC, are you the sole member?
Yes.
And what's your current profession?
I own and operate 2 businesses. I was a police officer in Upper Darby. I actually resigned a year and a half ago with terms to allow my businesses to keep growing. That won me a lot of brownie points at home with my wife. No more worrying about that job. But so I own a landscaping business. That's what I started with. And now I do real estate with landscaping as my main, but I do rental properties and I'm looking to improve this property here and house in the back that I think myself and my wife might have.
So I'm handing you a copy of the exhibit packet I presented to the board. If you could turn to exhibit A1 just briefly. Is that a copy of the deed to the property evidencing J. Rook Property Group LLC as the current owner?
Yes.
And can you tell briefly for the board how you came to purchase the property?
Realtor I do work with, Megan Toll, approached me with it. She had the house under contract and she was getting ready to list it. I do a lot of business with her and she kind of brought it to me before she put it on the market.
And the existing property itself, the residential dwelling, was that in great shape when you purchased it?
Yeah, it actually wasn't. It's funny. One of the things going back to me being a landscaper was one of the first things I did was there was probably 8 to 12 of these huge stumps all over the property. I actually grinded them out. Neighbors actually came out of the house thanking me for doing it because it was like the previous owner chopped down all kinds of crazy trees on the property line, but then it removed the stumps.
And there's no additional trees planned to be removed at this point, right?
No.
And you briefly indicated when I asked you about your profession, but can you describe for the board exactly what your desire is for the property?
Yeah, so the front house, we're gonna update it, obviously fix it up, clean it up, and then I'll end up reselling that.
And plans for lot 2?
And then lot 2, we'll build a house, obviously new house in the backyard, and then probably move into it.
And you were obviously here during my brief opening. Is there anything that you would like to add to that and what I stated accurate?
Yeah, everything you said was accurate. I'm easy going. If there's anything in the plans you guys want to alter or change, or more trees, less trees, more shrubs, whatever makes it easiest for you guys or best for you guys, I'm fine with that.
And we obviously still have to go through the land development if the board were inclined to grant relief. And presently, we're scheduled for a hearing, I believe, next week on the 25th before the Planning Commission. That's all I have, Mr. Lanzetta, if that's okay. And I'd like to briefly call Mr. Ganeka. Yeah. Eric, please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
My name is Eric Janetka, and my last name is spelled Janetka. I work for Kelly Engineers in Glen Mills, PA.
Okay. And you have a copy of the exhibit packet in front of you?
I do.
And I have previously marked exhibit A2, your CV, correct?
That's correct.
If you could briefly go through your credentials for the board, starting with your education.
Sure. I have a Bachelor of Engineering, Civil Engineering from the University of Delaware from 1991. I'm a licensed professional civil engineer in the state of Pennsylvania since 1996. And I've been working in land development, civil and commercial, institutional, et cetera, over
since 1993 thereabouts, as well as municipal engineering.
And have you previously testified before and have been qualified as an expert in zoning and civil engineering before zoning hearing boards?
I have
Can you name a couple towns?
testified in Concord Township and Solbury Township up in Bucks County, to name a few.
And are you currently a municipal solicitor for any towns?
I am not.
Or a solicitor, engineer?
I am municipal engineer.
Okay. Good.
We do, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, was Keller Engineers hired by J. Rook Property Group LLC?
We were
Okay, and in what capacity?
to prepare a subdivision plan as well as the grading and stormwater management plans, et cetera, for to subdivide off one lot for a single family dwelling.
And prior to coming this evening, you reviewed the zoning map and what town, what zoning district is the township?
This is the R2 zoning district.
Now, if you could briefly look at Exhibit A3, and this is the existing conditions plan, and that was prepared by your office.
That's correct.
Okay. Can you describe for the board what that plan shows?
This plan shows a single lot that's very deep. It's 150 feet wide. It has a single family dwelling on it with a driveway entrance on the right side of the lot as you face the home from the street. It's largely a lawn or meadow type ground cover on this lot with a few trees along the perimeter of the lot. There's on-lot sewer also on this particular home site.
Now, if I could turn your attention to Exhibit A4. That is the Google Earth aerials. Does that accurately depict the current site conditions?
It does.
Can you describe to the board the surrounding properties?
So the surrounding properties are also single-family residential homes. There are some lots that are very similar in size to this lot in terms of acreage and shape and width and depth. There's also several existing flag lots. There's on the left as you're facing the house from the street to the, I guess it would be to the west or southwest, there is there's three flag lots, or there's two flag lots on top of a frontage lot. And then to the right of this property, there's another pair of flag lots. So essentially this is surrounded by residential single-family dwellings on single lots and flag lots as well.
So what we're proposing is consistent with what's on the street and in close proximity.
It is.
Now, if I could turn your attention to Exhibit A5. Can you kindly identify what that exhibit depicts for the board?
Sure. This is the proposed subdivision plan. This is the essentially shows the new home location that's desired. It also shows the proposed lines for the new lot. And then, of course, the existing lot, which would be lot 1, and then lot 2 would be the new lot. There is a 25-foot wide flag that extends out to Bishop Hollow Road from lot 2 to the north east of the existing dwelling on lot 1.
So looking at Exhibit A5, and let's go through the two variances that we're looking for relief from this evening. And I believe I initially misspoke and just named 17-33. It's 172-33, but let's go with 172-21B1, and that's in connection with the frontage, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you explain for the board where that variance request is on the proposed plan and why we're seeking it?
Sure. So that's being requested for the flag of lot 2, which again extends from the back of the property, current property, out to Bishop Hollow Road. That is a 25-foot wide flag that gives this property frontage and access to Bishop Hollow Road.
And in preparation for this evening, did you have a chance to take a look at the other flag lots to see what their street frontage was?
I did, and I believe that the flags appear to be about 25 feet, similar to this proposal.
And are flag lots permitted by the township's code?
They are.
Are they specifically defined in any section?
They are defined in, yes, they are.
And what section that is?
That's in the subdivision ordinance. It's under chapter 148, article 2.
Now, if I could turn your attention to exhibit A8, which I had identified in my opening as an attachment to chapter 148 of the subdivision plan. Can you describe for the board what this depicts?
Sure, this is, sorry about that. This is the guidance from chapter 148, article 2, Roman numeral 2, that provides guidance and requirements for flag lot setbacks and flag lot width.
And is there a minimum footage width for the stem?
There is.
Okay, and what is that minimum?
It's 25 feet.
And that's exactly what we're proposing with this plan?
That's correct.
Okay, so we're consistent with this requirement, or at least this preferred requirement under the subdivision land development plan.
We are.
Now, alternatively, reviewing the proposal in connection with the township's subdivision plan and also its zoning ordinance, in your expert opinion, would the request we're seeking here be de minimis?
It is, I believe.
Staying with exhibit A5, I see that there's a stretch of road. Should be A4, I apologize. Exhibit A4, which is the aerial. There's a stretch of road that comes off of Bishop Hollow, which I guess is to the, I think you said, the east of the subject property, and goes back and behind all of the neighboring properties. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. Do you happen to know who owns that land?
I believe it's owned by Springton Point Condominium Association.
So there's no direct access to any road to the back of this property that would allow access and not create a flag lot.
That's correct. There is none.
So in order to do that, if we could even utilize that road, we would need to gain an easement or some type of permission from the owner to utilize that specific access point.
Yes, correct.
Now, how much frontage does the property currently have?
The current lot has 150 feet of lot frontage.
Is there any way to make lot 1 and 2 each have 150 to 125 feet as mandated by the code?
No, there is not.
And in your opinion, then do these physical characteristics cause a hardship?
Yes, in my opinion, they do.
So let's next turning to our second variance for from section 172-33B6. And that's in connection with the 20-foot each side yard setback and the 40-foot aggregate, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So now actually using exhibit A5, which is the proposed plan, can you show or point to the board or at least advise them where that requested relief is?
So this relief is requested if you're standing on the street looking at the existing home. This would be the setback from the left side of that structure to the edge or the line of the flag of the 25-foot flag that extends from lot 2 to Bishop Hollow Road.
Now, I see with the other flag lots on Bishop Hollow that most of them appear to have the stem and the driveway associated with potentially the existing curb cut. Why couldn't we do that with this property?
Well, we could do it, except that it would reduce the side yard setback to approximately 6 feet because the 25-foot set width on the right side of the lot, as you face it from the street where the existing driveway is, would create a 25-foot piece of ground that's allotted to lot 2. And from that piece of ground, the setback to the existing structure would only be 6.06 feet, I believe.
Okay. So if we were to locate the stem where the existing driveway is, we would actually be requesting a larger variance than what we're requesting this evening because we've relocated it to the other side of the property.
That's correct.
Okay. And in connection with the existing driveway side, what's the side yard setback there?
The side yard setback there currently is 31.06 feet.
So we're in excess of the required 20-foot minimum.
Correct.
Okay. And overall, we would meet the 45-foot aggregate.
That's correct. The 3106 and 1733 would exceed 45 feet.
So looking at it in terms of the actual relief requested, that's what, about 2.67 feet we're seeking for by way of variance?
Yeah, that's correct.
And in your opinion, an expert opinion, is that a de minimis request?
It is, in my opinion.
And then alternatively, do the same physical conditions that we discussed in connection with the frontage apply to this request?
They do. There is no way to access the back part of the lot from this side or the right side as you face the building from the street. There is no public access or any other access to get to the back part of the lot.
Okay. And obviously by relocating or at least locating the driveway opposite of the existing driveway, we're seeking the minimum relief necessary to allow for reasonable use of the rear lot.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so let's kind of go over just briefly some of the specific variance requests. Obviously, as a civil engineer, an expert in zoning and civil engineering, you're familiar with the variance criteria.
I am.
Okay, so in your expert opinion, because of the physical circumstances or conditions that you mentioned and discussed, is it correct that the zoning requirements work an unreasonable hardship?
I believe so.
And that a variance would then therefore be needed to enable the reasonable use of the property in accordance with the R2 residential district?
Yes.
And if the variances were granted, in your opinion, would they alter the essential characteristics of the neighborhood?
No, not at all.
Okay. And as a matter of fact, they would be consistent with the surrounding properties.
That's correct.
And I alluded to this earlier, but further, the variances requested, do they represent the minimum variances that will afford relief, represent the least modification possible?
They do.
And then finally, in your expert opinion, is the hardship created by the applicant?
No, it is not.
And then lastly, have all of your opinions, in fact, presented this evening, been given in a reasonable degree of engineering and zoning certainty?
Yes.
I have no further questions and respectfully would admit or ask to admit my exhibits A1 through A9 into the record.
Are admitted.
And that would conclude our presentation and obviously would welcome any questions from the board.
I have one question. Might have another one to start with. So you mentioned, and you referenced I believe it was A4, the Google Earth. There's the driveway, if you will, that kind of goes off of Bishop Hollow, goes around all these properties. Question is, understanding that one of your asks here in terms of relief is the 150 foot minimum width of the flag lot, which I think the lot itself, the width is 150. Was there anything pursued to see if you could access from the rear, so you wouldn't need the variance for the side yard setback for the flag lot?
There was not, I think in all reality, it would probably be more difficult if it is in fact owned by an HOA or some civic unit. We would ultimately need a full board approval of the membership of that. But no, I don't believe it. I'll turn that to Mr. Lanzetta, but I don't believe there was any actual formal request to any property owner.
There was not.
I may be wrong about this, but I believe that the Springton Point Association had that land revert to the township's municipal authority.
That's what I thought at one point.
Once public sewer was brought
Yeah.
to that community. And so, because I know the authority used that driveway and that land back there as a staging area when they were constructing the system in the township. So I believe and the authority's an independent agency of the township, but nonetheless, I believe they're the current title holders to that property.
That's what I understood that might have been the case, but wasn't exactly sure.
Yeah. Just point of reference.
In that instance, we would actually have to get approval from the particular authority to utilize the property.
And I don't know, Mr. Lanzetta, I'm sorry. Lanzetta, I think you were about to say something there, so I wanted to give you opportunity if you wanted to answer
I
also.
appreciate that. Yeah, that road there, I mean, probably, but it's not very wide. I mean, it's maybe the length of it.
Okay.
It's not, it's maybe the length of like a larger pickup truck. It's not, it's maybe 8 to 9 feet wide, if that.
And I don't believe that would qualify as a
Got it.
It also, when they used it as a staging area, it comes out almost on the peak of the hill across from the Little League field. And it was a traffic hazard. It would, with people coming in and out of there, it was definitely a problem.
Yes. HOP, highway occupancy permit. Yep.
Have
Yeah,
you
we are
heard,
still at the early stages.
have you heard from any of the neighbors now that where you're gonna be developing the other house? I see there's another house, I guess would be sitting next to it. Has there been any feedback from them or communication?
So if you're standing in the street looking at the property, the homes to the right, the house in the back, I've
Yeah.
spoken to him. That, what do you think about that? He goes, I can't believe somebody ready like they did. And the lady next door, after I grinded all the stumps down the property line, anything I say is totally fine with it. So, and then the guy on the other side of her put 2 houses, so I don't think he could say anything there. Up on the, 2 houses down, they don't have an issue either. They put 3 houses and my issue. So.
Another question I have, for lot number 2, the proposed, home structure. I guess curious in proximity to, I guess you would call it lot number 2 on the property to the right. Like, will it kind of be like right next to that, or is it maybe? Just seems like if it was right next to that, you might, depending on the setbacks, is it 25 feet?
It is 25 feet, yeah.
Or 25
Side
feet
yard.
from the property line.
Do you have any any renderings of what this house will look like that you're planning to build there?
We haven't gone to architectural design yet. Eric, looking at exhibit A5, what's the distance between the buildable envelope on lot 2 and the property line for lot 1?
That's 60 feet.
So if you could scale it, how far back is the proposed home from the existing dwelling?
It's probably about 100, well, from the existing dwelling, it's probably about, closing in on 200 feet.
Yeah, so it's pretty far apart.
They are.
And this is the plan that we submitted in connection with the land development as well, right?
It is.
Did you say lot 1 is connected to public sewer?
No,
No, they
It's
are,
not- Neither one is.
yeah, neither one.
Obviously,
Yeah.
the other one doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Okay.
we're proposing public water for lot 2, but not public sewer.
Correct.
Any questions, Andy, or?
I have a question, but it's to our solicitor. I've never had the circumstance where zoning relief is being acquired in advance of subdivision approval. So right now, the basis for the variance doesn't exist because it's a single held property. Does that make any difference?
Not unusual.
Yeah.
It's only relief, but the approval on the normally,
So if the land development is not approved theoretically, what does that do to our decision?
well, they obviously can construct it by parcel. They don't have to do that again.
And if somebody came in the future attempting to do the same thing, would that be bound, would the board probably be bound by that earlier decision?
Likely to 6 months.
That's true. Okay. All right.
In my experience, most planning commissions don't want to look at an application until they've seen that you've
They
had
know what
zoning
they know.
relief, that you got the zoning relief. Because otherwise, what they would do is if they were inclined to approve it, they would approve it subject to zoning relief. And it's the age old, what comes first, the chicken or the egg type of scenario. And it really depends, at least in my experience, varies from municipality to municipality as to which one they would prefer you to go to first. I think the suggestion to us was to go through zoning first before we went through planning. No, I don't have any. Yeah. Yeah, okay. To make sure you're good.
So I would like to make a motion on application 2023-32 to grant the variance relief from section 172-33B1 and 172-33B6 to allow a flag lot with width less than 125 feet and to allow the aggregate side yard setback be 2.7 feet less than required. Am I reading that right?
2.67.
Huh?
2.67.
2.67.
All right, is there a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
That was the truncated version. I tried to move through that as quickly as possible. Good chance to tell. All right.
Good night, gentlemen. Thank you.
Have a good one.